The Cherokee Indian tribe has a rite of passage for its young men, young boys, as they move towards manhood. And the rite that they use is they take the young boy when it's time, and the father takes him deep into the forest and sets him on a stump. And he is blindfolded. And he is told that he must sit through the night on that stump. He cannot get up. He cannot ask or call for help. He just has to stay there. And so, as that unfolds, of course, the boy becomes terrified by all the sounds that are around him. Maybe the animals that are moving close, or some fear that maybe some person will come along that could do him harm. And just listening to the wind and all the noises of the night, unsure of what is near him. And when the sun begins to rise and he can see little glints of light through his blindfold, he is able to remove the blindfold, and then he is a man. But when he removes the blindfold, he sees that his father has been sitting near him throughout the night, unbeknownst to him. It is really a rite of passage that I'm sure causes great terror in him and yet growth. And I think our readings today present two rites of passage. The first reading about Abraham taking his son Isaac. And can you imagine the terror of that trip? He has waited many years. He was an old man when he finally received his son. And then God says, I want you to offer him back to me. I want you to take his life. And he must walk that road with his son unknown, knowing what is ahead of him. And yet the terror of that really turns into a beautiful faith, having walked that journey. And the other reading, the gospel today, those three disciples, Peter, James, and John, climb the mountain with Jesus. And it's interesting, in the Transfiguration, they said the apostles were terrified also. And even in the beauty, even in that glorious occasion, it left them really speechless, unsure as to what this all meant. If we think about our own lives, we probably find ourselves in the various rites of passage, and often they are quite terrifying to us. There are some that really kind of throw us down. We're not quite sure what they mean. And if something is really quite an awful event that enters our lives, sometimes it even leaves us embittered and wanting to be distant from others, from God, even from ourselves, because that event has the ability to maybe take away our spirit. Or sometimes the events are terrifyingly beautiful, like those disciples. Think of maybe the birth of a child, or other things that come along that they really are about a revelation to us of great, beautiful things. Maybe the glory of God becomes very visible to us. And even that, in those moments, we want to kind of hold on to that time because it is so beautiful and powerful in our lives. But the reality of all of that, all of those terrifyingly beautiful experiences that come along, is that they pass. And God is not finished with us yet in that moment. And it is seemingly what happened to those instances. Abraham had to move past that experience with his son. The three apostles had to move past that time of transfiguration because there was much more to be revealed. It may not seem that God could do much more with us sometimes, and yet it is really what Lent is about. We have to move each day, and we have to trust that even though things get terrifying, that His presence is faithfully sitting next to us. It's really all that matters, all that we need to know. And then we will find the strength and the goodness that is needed in any given instance. So this day, as we continue our Lenten journey, it is maybe a day of passage for us. Maybe it's a day of rest. But whatever, we trust God's presence, and we walk purposely towards Easter.